for a long time. There's just one thing that I want to clarify now that the media is here. You saw Uhuru was in Kigali with President Kagame when Ruto was in Kigali with President Kagame when a reporter asked him the question of what's happening here. Then he went to length to try to explain an issue called handshake. They don't want. This handshake has been in the mouths of these people for a long time. What was me wanataka tu msumukati, nataka handshake and so on. Now I want you guys to know where this handshake came from. In 2008, the country was burning. The international community tried to intervened. Then chairman of African Union, President Kufu of Ghana, came here, talked to us and talked to Kibaki side. Then they proposed to bring a mediator. The Prime Minister of UK then, Gordon Brown, also called us. In the end, the proposed Mr. Ramaphosa, who was rejected by the other side, that Ramaphosa was my friend. In the end, the name of Kofi Annan surfaced. As you see, most of those former President of Kaunda was here, Mkapa was here, former President of Botswana was here, Desmond Tutu was here, and so on. Then, in the end, the name of Kofi Annan came up and was then accepted to mediate together with President Mkapa and Madame Graça Machel. Then it was agreed that each side appoints four to represent it. We were represented here by Honorable James Orengo, Mr. Musalia Mudavadi, Mr. William Ruto himself, and Sally Cosby. The other side was represented by Martha here. The other one was the late Mtola Kalonzo. The other one was Wetangula and Samungeri. This is the team that met at Serena Hotel and negotiated until there is agreed only on one issue of whether the accord should be entrenched in the constitution. This is when Kofi Annan came to me and to Kibaki and asked that we have a meeting. That meeting was chaired by Kofi Annan. President Kikwete was present and President Mkapa. We agreed on that issue. Once we agreed on that only issue, then we were ready now to sign the accord, which was signed and presented to Parliament. Now, William Ruto himself was involved in negotiating that accord. Now he says Raila is the author of accords. Then, in 2017, we went to court and Supreme Court nullified the elections and ordered a repeat. Then we said we went to IBC and we demanded certain reforms to be made before we participated in that election. Because he said to go the same way with the same structure will not yield any different result. Doing the same thing the same way, expecting different results. When we then refused to go to elections, we asked our people to boycott. It was boycotted. From the statistics we have, only 17% of registered voters participated, because they came up with a small figure of 38%. Then there was stalemate. Then he said we had been cheated. Then we did the swearing in. Then the country was in a crisis. And it is Uhuru Kenyatta himself who looked for me. And we held lengthy discussions. And he admitted that he knows that he did not win. Because the number of people who went for the repeat were negligible. Then I said, I don't have to be the president of this country. If we agree that we can carry out reforms to ensure that the future elections will be free and fair, I'm ready to work together. And that is what we informed the MOU. It was not a secret. We appointed lawyers who spent time to prepare the MOU. And we changed it eventually. We agreed to sign that MOU. And that is when we went out of the office of the president and shook hands with Uhuru Kenyatta. That is the second handshake. But I said, we don't have to have a stake in government. ODM did not appoint a single minister in that government. Neither did we appoint even a permanent secretary or even head of any parastatal. We did not. That government remained exactly that whatever it was, whether it was a coalition, but it was between Uhuru's side and Ruto's side. Right through it. So this idea that handshake is what caused problems with that government is hogwash. We did not participate in that government. All ODM members here know that we did not participate in that government at all. We did not appoint anybody. People who were appointed there were all there. But because they are in the government, they want to take credit for all the good things that that government did and blame everything that went wrong in that government on Uhuru Kenyatta. That is where we are today. Shame on them. So we ourselves, nobody should come and say that we all the time force people into cause trouble so that we need handshake. Justice Kriegler, who was appointed to come and lead a team to verify what happened in this country and how the elections were held. When he came to see me in my office, he told me, Mr. Odinga, I don't see my role here as trying to tell Kenyans who won that election. Any fool in this country knows who won this election. When he's saying, I won those elections. But then, now these people keep on saying that we lost elections and we went to the handshake. Shame on them. We did not lose the elections in 2007. Now did we lose in 2017 or in 2013? Because they said, oh, always losing and complaining. We did not lose any of those elections. So I don't want to go much further than that. I just want to make that clarification for everybody else that handshake, one of the authors of handshake is none other than President Mr. William Samoei Ruto. The governor of Wajir is there. Where is he? It's going to be. He asked me to give him a chance to, because we want to leave to rush to Wajir. But if it's going for prayer, when he comes back, he will do that. Thank you very much. Now, Mr. Lee, we can continue.
Okay, let me invite Mr. Wainaina.
With other diverse groups of Kenyans, including religious leaders from all faiths, about the crisis facing our country. They implored us to give dialogue, especially during the holy periods of Easter and Ramadan. It is in this context that we agreed to call off the protest and give dialogue a chance. We are guided by the words of the late John F. Kennedy, who said, and I quote, "Let us never negotiate out of fear, but let us never fear to negotiate." Quote. We go into these negotiations holding a firm belief that our cause is just, our intentions are pure, and our goal is patriotic. We go into these talks convinced that some issues, in particular, lowering the price of food, is urgent, can't wait, and does not even need the talks. Opening of the servers is not negotiable. We agree that a balanced process, spearheaded by members of parliament from both sides and backed by experts, is an appropriate way to proceed. The end product will then be presented to Parliament for approval. We shall send our members to the Select Joint Committee, whose terms of reference shall be to A. Recommend measures to lower the cost of unga, fuel, electricity, and school fees. B. Conduct a review and forensic audit of the servers used by the IEBC before, during, and after the 2022 presidential election. C. Review the appointment and dismissal of IEBC commissioners, including their chain of office, and recommend institutional, policy, legal, and constitutional mechanisms, restructuring and reforms of the IEBC. D. Consider the constructing of IEBC by devolving structures to counties, and whether the country really needs commissioners working on a permanent basis. E. Recommend legal, policy, and institutional reforms to strengthen and improve the electoral system and processes to entrench a culture of free and fair elections administered in an impartial, transparent, simple, accurate, verifiable, and secure system. F. Review the circumstances that led to the dismissal of the IEBC commissioners, commonly known as the Cherera Four, and reinstate them in office. G. Review and recommend changes in the law that will entrench party discipline, fidelity, by 1. Requiring MPs who cross party lines after the elections to seek a fresh mandate from the electorate. And 2. To allow parties to replace nominated MPs who cross party lines. H. Initiate legislation to address the electoral, governance, and economic gaps identified during the inquiry for consideration by the Houses as appropriate. The Joint Task Force shall present its report to Parliament within 30 days of its establishment. Finally, we reiterate 3 important points. 1. As J.F. Kennedy said, and I quote, "Civility is not a sign of weakness, and sincerity is always subject to proof." Unquote. 2. The rights to assemble, demonstrate, petition, and speak are ironclad as provided for in our Constitution. 3. We reserve our right to call for demonstrations should this process not bear fruit. Should there be no meaningful engagement or response from Kenya Kwanza, we will not hesitate to mobilize Kenyans to demand their rights within the framework of Article 37 of our Constitution. We are driven by the concern that in spite of the 2010 Constitution, our political culture retains a winner-take-all system. This is what has clearly been demonstrated by the Oda regime. This monopoly of power, by hook or crook, by the party in the State House, can only be rectified with a thoughtful, deliberative process involving all Kenyans. We need a proper constitutional review to cure the governance defects in the 2010 Constitution and remove the last vestiges of an imperial presidency. In our dialogue with Kenya Kwanza, we'll be putting this matter on the table. Thank you, and God bless Kenya. Thank you very much.
Makofi kwa President Raila Odinga. May I now ask the media to take short leave as proceed with the rest of the program. And in the same breath,